Greetings and welcome to Weekly Video Digest of Kashmir University, Quest. First, a look at the highlights. Professor Gian Khaki, Director CCAS, informs about the research potential of the Centre. NSS wing of Kashmir University distributes relief kits to September flood victims. And we also have some important announcements towards the end of the program. Now, the details of these events with your host Nisar Dharma. Dear students, Centre of Central Asian Studies is one of the prime research centres of Kashmir University. The centre was established in 1978 to understand the Central Asian region and bridge the gap between Central Asian states and Kashmir. The objective of the centre is to explore the possibilities for reviving and improving the age-old relations between India and Central Asia. In an interview with the Quest team, Director CCAS Professor Gian Khaki said that since its inception, the centre has embarked on a series of research programs largely aimed at rediscovering the culture of the two regions.
Fundamental purpose of the establishment of the centre has been to explore the bilateral and multilateral relations that exist between the two regions from historical perspective. Initially, the focus of the centre has been to concentrate on the history and culture of the two regions. But with the independence of these almost 5 Central Asian republics, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, so on and so forth, all these republics, then the shift in the research policy of the centre had also been inevitable. And consequently, we had shifted our attention from traditional to medieval and the traditional research to the contemporary issues of Central Asia, which include the globalization, the ethnicity, the revival of the religions and Islam, and the history and the culture of the region also, of course.
One of the important earlier connections between Kashmir and Central Asian states was Silk Route, and the centre has undertaken many research projects on reviving this route.
We have already carried almost 3 and 4 phases of the Silk Route expedition under the supervision of the prominent scholars of the centre. And we have identified most of the areas that still wish that the roads are open to ensure the stability of the relations, to ensure the goods and the commodity, to import and export of the goods and commodity, and the faith that had been predominant, that had been quite similar, in conformity with the two regions that explore with the possibility of opening of the routes. We had recently had the last Silk Route expedition that was carried out under my supervision. That was from Kargil to Leh to Chishul to Neoma, Phoburang, and finally we had identified a group of respondents to whom we had interviewed, and we have find out their desire that the roads are open, the traditional routes that had connected Kashmir and India with rest parts of Central Asia, with China, with Lhasa itself, so as to make the interconnectedness more fruitful and more relevant to the contemporary needs.
The Central Asian scholars doing research in the centre have to show importance and identify the usefulness of the topic before they commence their research work.
Whatever the research is carried on, whether it is on traditional, traditional type of research, on medieval history, or on the contemporary issues, what are the insights for Jammu and Kashmir, and what are the insights for, India at large? These insights are to be submitted by all scholars to the centre, so as to submit the concerned embassies to the External Affairs Ministry. We are doing it, but we have still enhanced our area of interest, so as to make whole world, especially our Indian scholars and Indian agencies, funding agencies, are in know of the developments that take place in Central Asian Studies Department, and whatever the research is carried out, in order to make it, to identify its usefulness and purposefulness.
Besides research done by the students, the centre also encourages its faculty members to take up projects on regular basis. The faculty members of the centre carried out research projects both in individual capacity and in an integrated form.
There are some sponsored projects as well from the UGC, from the ICCR, from the ICSSR, that had been carried out by our faculty members that further enriches our research. And this is in fact a way that equips our research scholars with some sort of financial assistance they get by virtue of the projects that our faculty members had undertaken. So this gives a boom and to the research program of the Center of Central Asian Studies.
The CCAS scholars travel to Central Asian countries to collect primary data, attend seminars, conferences and workshops, which later shapes up their research work.
And for empirical study as well, many faculty members of the center, along with the research scholars, visited almost every part of Central Asia. We have special funding for that. Sometimes by virtue of the conference and the seminars, the faculty members and the scholars are invited, and their all financial matters are being taken care of by the host institution. By virtue of that, most of our faculty members, most of our scholars have visited. This has further, enriched our knowledge and understanding about the region by virtue of the interactions that our faculty are making, our scholars they have made with their colleagues, with their friends, and in different parts of Central Asia as well.
Earlier, the center would bear all the expenses of a scholar. Now it has been modified a bit to accommodate more students.
We have devised a plan that we would all assist students to the tune of rupees 50,000, even sometimes more than that, to a student will be provided by the Center of Central Asian Studies to scholars who could visit their own field of research to work there for the growth and development of research and to ensure objectivity in his research. That's the fundamental purpose.
For students who are thinking to do research, this multidisciplinary center is a good option as it provides them flexibility and an opportunity to travel to Central Asian countries. It has 12 different disciplines for research scholars. Currently, 81 students are enrolled in the center.
So this is an interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary subject. All those subjects that are being studied under the roof of Center of Central Asian Studies, the scholars belong to these subjects are most welcome to pursue research in Center of Central Asian Studies. We cannot go for a research in a discipline for which we don't have a faculty available in the center. Most prominently, all the faculties within social science, within arts, for example, history, sociology, geography, economics, Iranian studies, Islamic studies, and many more. All these subjects, they constitute part of the Central Asian Studies. And other than that, we have Kashmiri, we have Buddhist studies, we have other institutions insofar as languages are concerned, library and information program. So all these programs are open for scholars. They can come and they can apply.
The center has also an impressive record of publications. So far, it has published 63 project reports. Its annual Journal of Central Asian Studies has received wide appreciation.
Individual papers that have been published by the faculty and the scholars. This is a prerequisite for the submission of MPhil PhD. So all the scholars now publish their papers in very prominent, internationally acclaimed journals. These papers are published with impact factor, with ISSN number, ISBN number, and all these things. They managed to publish it. This is the second phase. Besides the books, publication of books, every faculty member publishes his papers and his observation on his own field and area study. Besides that, annually for the last 20 years, Center is publishing annually its research journal, the Journal of Central Asian Studies. This is one of the prominent, research activities of the center, demonstrates the research activity of the center, in which we find the participants and especially those who submit their research papers are almost from different parts of the world, around the globe almost. This is available online.
To carry out joint research and to exchange the faculty and research scholars, the center has inked several MOUs with Central Asian universities. These MOUs help students to interact with the foreign faculty and enhances their research capability.
Some of the scholars and students would call us on email that they had gone through our material on our papers that had been published in journals and magazines or for that matter any other place. We want a full copy of the journals and magazines so as to incorporate the findings in our own research proposals. That way we are connecting with them. We make arrangements for extension lectures of scholars. And under this purview, we invite scholars almost from different parts of Central Asia who interact with our faculty members, who interact with our students. They stay here with us for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. And by that way, they talk to our students, and our scholars are very happy to interact with them and get some feedback on their own personal research projects.
Director CCAS said that the center is planning to translate major manuscripts of Central Asian countries and digitize some major works as well.
we are going to have assigned our students and the scholars to translate some of the manuscripts that are presently available in our institution and in a central library as well, some of the manuscripts. And some of the manuscripts that are available in different libraries of India, we have asked them to identify the manuscripts that are in any way relevant to our field of studies to improve the bilateral relations on the basis of the inputs that the Central Asia is going to provide, and on the basis of the Silk Route expeditions that had already been undertaken to improve our further strengthen the bilateral relations. And number second is to digitize our, all research material that is available with us, and efforts also made to identify all that.
The center has Central Asian Museum that was established in 1982. It has thousands of artifacts.
Museum itself is, wherein we have showcased the history and the culture of Kashmir, India, and vis-a-vis rest of the states of Central Asia as well. And the artifacts that had been preserved in our museum, along with some of the prominent manuscripts from different parts of the country in different languages, especially in Persian, Arabic, and many other languages as well. Every year we do purchase for that. And besides that, we are getting some on loan-based items that we have preserved in our museum, and some gifts that had come to center by the virtue of the faculties who visited Central Asian states. The moment they come back with some gifts that are given to them. So they deposit in the Central Asian Museum. So that way, it's a very unique museum with a good number of artifacts and manuscripts and all other relevant information that demonstrates the great historical past of our region, especially state of Jammu and Kashmir.
The CCAS serves as a bridge between Kashmir and Central Asian countries, for the reason that Kashmir has a close affinity with Central Asian countries. The Center of Central Asian Studies reflects the syncretism and blend of various socio-cultural practices of a vast region. Now, the NSS unit of Kashmir University organized a relief distribution function at the Government Degree College for Women, Nawakadal. The function was held in collaboration with Ekta Forum, New Delhi, and Young Welfare Committee, Safakadal. Speaking on the occasion, EMMRC faculty and NSS program officer, Mr. Tariq Abdullah, told participants that by giving relief kits to the flood victims of September 2014, one gets to know the reality of the situation around which we live.
Relief distribution is sirf alamat, magar asli go az moka ka samkhe akhe kesan em sedan je idaran te laga ki und pok hamsayigi mans kum masail che yos me ak bod maqsad yat college mans function karne tikaz yem as maj bin az yotat amz ya boy sh amuten im che yemi basti hind baskin me us mad me darkhas kurmut to imo kor yakdam as petan Labaik to Bukan Shvaria Asal Rizkat, which was very mashkur, Emo the poor town as a program Munakat Karnasmas, in the town were Hakeni possible Gasset Hako Sari Tatan Jama Gassetan.
Principal Nawakadal Women's College, Professor Taslim Peer, while lauding the role of NSS, said that such relief events foster the relationship of brotherhood among the community.
Koshish karmaz Allah Ta'ala karin iman at rut jaza dinak at यमो ये कोशिश करमज ये जन एसारनी पता छ सहलाब से कुछ तूफान आव तमाम कशीर चाहे सो साहिब सरूत नफर ओस तमिस गुजार ओसा तमिस गुजार ओस ना अत लपेटस मज आय सारी लकटो पेट बड़े तामत आय ना सेठा कस होक वन वति त कस छ वन ते कमजोरी तो अस हुजूर अकरम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम फरमान ते अल्लाह ताला सुन फरमान ते कि अगर तुम कमजोर छु बासान तमिस करियो मदद शो बहैसियत फर्ज बहैसियत हक अकिस मुसलमान बेन या बयस या मलिस या माजि तमिस छु हक वातान बाकियन ना ख्याल थावन ये क्या एमसित क्या हेल ब क्या वनो तो ये छु अख किट अथ मज नेरि तो उम्र ते पोषनी ये क्या मगर थोड़ा छ सहायता गछान कुनि वक्त छ जरूरत आसान मदद तो अल्लाह ताला यछन अस ब्रोट कुन ति पकनाउन इंशाअल्लाह ताला यम ऑर्गेनाइजेशन यम छ यात मज काम करन अल्लाह ताला दिन तिमन ज्यादा तौफीक ज्यादा रच काम करनुक ज्यादा सुन्नत पालनुक फर्ज नखवालनुक.
After the inaugural address, NSS distributed kits containing blankets, water bottles, soap and clothes among the flood affected families. Later speaking to the Quest NSS Program Officer, Dr. Salma Ahad said that after a thorough examination of the area, victims who needed it most were identified.
In fact, there was in fact an identification that was done previously. The NSS wing of the university in fact organized a thorough and intense identification of the locality, and they identified all the flood victims first. Then a selection was made out of those victims. The most needy were selected for the distribution, and since NSS wing of the University of Kashmir has been doing all these events previously as well, so they took this time as well. They reached the needy, and they organized the camp, distributed the relief, and such camps are in fact needed, and such camps are in fact required by the victims of the floods or victims of such natural disasters as floods or earthquakes or the like. So we expect that in the future as well, such camps will be organized by the NSS wing of the university quite frequently, and the college will be, in fact, college shall always collaborate, as it has been collaborating in other events as well. It shall always collaborate in the future as well with the NSS wing of the University of Kashmir, and shall welcome all such steps.
NSS Program Officer Mr. Tariq Abdullah said that after the September 14 devastating floods, NSS is extensively working for the welfare of the flood victims.
The aim of this event is to be part of those who have been affected badly during the floods. Inshallah, in future also we will continue with this mission, and we will try to reach as many as victims as we can. And we are looking also for sponsorship and collaboration with other organizations whom we are in touch. And with the grace of Almighty, we'll be inshallah doing this activity on a regular basis throughout the year 2015.
Dear viewers, from now onwards, we will include some important and relevant notifications in the program. Here are some important notifications of this week. Date sheet for MA Urdu examination, semester 2nd and 4th, session 2014-2015 for fresh and backlog candidates has been issued. The examination will commence from March 3rd. MA Arabic Semester 4 Session 2014 examination will commence from March 9. The Directorate of Physical Education and Sports is contemplating to organize snow ski course for the female students at Gulmarg in the first week of March 2015. All the female students of the affiliated colleges are directed to register themselves for the course with the Directorate of Physical Education by or before February 25th. For the details of these notifications and others, log on to kashmiruniversity.ac.in or kashmiruniversity.net. That's all for today's program. Log on to our website emmrckashmir.com to watch the latest episode of Quest. You can send us your valuable suggestions at quest@emmrckashmir.com. Before I take your leave, here are a few words of wisdom. There is no single cross-culturally valid standard of rationality. Rationality is relative.